Hello, we will be solving 2023 Paper 2 multiple choice questions. Okay, so first question. It's asking about the characteristics of a living organism. You should know what Mrs. Gren is. So this acronym, explains the characteristics of living organisms. And you see in this diagram here, the plant here is showing a phototrophic response. So the answer would be D, sensitivity. Okay, question 2. It's asking us which kingdoms do X and Y belong to. So let's look at X first. So it says the X is made of strands called hyphae, and immediately you should think of fungus. And for Y, it's single-celled, which means that it will be a prokaryotic cell, and then it contains nucleus and chloroplasts. So this would mean that it would be part of the protocyst kingdom. So the answer would be B. Number 3, which part of a plant cell controls the movement of substances into and out of cell? This one's really easy. A, straightforward, cell membrane. So we have a diagram of a root hair cell. And then the answer would be B. It absorbs ions from the soil. Number 5. How do carbon dioxide and oxygen move into and out of a mesophyll cell? Carbon dioxide and oxygen are both gases, moves down the concentration gradient, so it would be B, diffusion. Next question. So we have 2 potato cylinders soaked in different salt solutions. And then it's asking us which potato cylinder would be the most flaccid. So the answer would be D, because flaccid means that water moved out of the cell through osmosis. So if the salt solution would have to be the most concentrated. So for this case, the answer would be D. Okay, number 7. So we're doing a Benedict's solution test and an iodine test. So in this onion, we have no starch. So we would expect a negative result for the iodine solution. So we would not expect a blue-black. So we will cross off A and C. And we have some reducing sugar. So we would expect a brick red color. So the answer would be D. Okay, which statement about the structure of DNA is correct? A always pairs well with base C. We know that AT pairs up and CG pairs up. So this one's obviously wrong. And the answer would be B. Okay, now this question is asking us to choose the option which is correctly labeled. Okay, so this would be the substrate, and this would be the product after breaking the substrate into smaller pieces. So the correct answer would be C. So we have to fill in the gaps. Okay, so the active site of an enzyme is complementary to an area on the substrate. This area on the substrate can fit into it to form an enzyme substrate complex. This is fairly straightforward question, not much explanation, so the answer would be A. Okay, now we have to find the test tube which will have the carbon dioxide concentration decreasing. So for A, we have this black cover to keep out the sunlight. So basically this plant won't be able to perform photosynthesis. It would only respire, and also the aquatic animal would also respire, and it will release CO2 as waste products. So the carbon dioxide concentration for this tube will actually increase. B, it's the same. The plant will respire, no photosynthesis, so carbon dioxide concentration will increase. However, C, we have light. The plant is able to photosynthesize, thus the carbon dioxide concentration for tube C would decrease. And for D, we have this mammal here. He will respire, and CO2 concentration will increase. So the correct answer would be C. Okay, now this one's pretty easy. Now if you look at these circular cells, you know that it will be the spongy mesophyll cells. And these would be the guard cells. And so the X would be the palisade mesophyll cell. Just remember that cells that look rectangular and column shaped, those are the palisade mesophyll cells. Now, number 13. Why do plants need nitrate ions? So they need nitrate ions to make amino acid. So the correct answer would be A. In which part of the body of a mammal does physical digestion occur? Number 14, it will be C. Because in the mouth, we have mechanical digestion, where we chew with our teeth to break down food into smaller pieces. But no enzymes are involved during the chewing process. We're grinding it with our teeth, so it's a form of physical digestion. Okay, number 15. Where is protein digested by trypsin? And this occurs in the stomach. No, actually, trypsin is found in the small intestine. So the answer would be A. Okay, what is the function of the tissue labeled Z? Now this is a cross-section of a root of a plant. And in this cross-section, this part would be the xylem vessel, and these parts would be the phloem. So the function of the xylem vessel is to transport water and minerals throughout the plant. So the answer would be D. Okay, now this question is showing us how roots and leaves act as sources and sinks for sucrose and amino acids at different periods during the year. And at which point in the year are the roots most active as a source? Now the answer would be A, because during summer, when leaves are mature, they photosynthesize and they act as sources, and they send sucrose and amino acids to the roots to store them. And now when they need sucrose and nutrients to grow new leaves, they will use up the stored up sucrose in order to grow the new leaves. So that's why the answer is A. Okay, now which vessel is the pulmonary vein? The answer would be D. Number 19. What happens to the heart valves when the ventricles contract? Now the answer would be B. Okay, number 20. What are the approximate percentages of oxygen and carbon dioxide in inspired air? It's inspired air, so it's fresh air. So the percentage of oxygen would be around 20%, and the percentage of carbon dioxide would be below 1%. So the answer would be C. Okay, number 21. So these are the antibody which are produced from the white blood cells. And the antibody and the antigen of the bacteria must be complementary. So the shape of Y would be this pitchfork looking shape. And these are the antigen on the bacteria. So the correct answer would be A. Okay, which environmental factor must always be present for seed germination? So the correct answer would be D. So many students make mistakes. They think that they need sunlight in order for seed germination to occur. That is actually not true. The plant needs light as they get leaves and after germination. So actually they only need water and oxygen because they already have nutrients stored in the dicotyledons of the seed. Okay, now which structure is the sensory neuron? The correct answer would be A. So the sensory neuron is the closest neuron to the stimulus, which signals it to the relay neuron and then to the effector. Okay, number 24. What happens to the muscles in the iris to make the pupil smaller? Now, in order to make the pupil smaller, the circular muscles would have to contract and the radial muscles have to relax. This is because these two muscles are antagonistic pairs of muscles. So the correct answer would be B. Okay, so we have 4 diagrams. So which statement explains the difference in results between X and Y? So for phototropism, the auxin must diffuse to the opposite side of the light and it will promote elongation of the cell. Now, if there was a plant here and here was the source of light, the auxin would diffuse to the left side and elongate the left side so that the plant will eventually bend towards the light. However, for diagram X, this piece of glass is stopping the diffusion of auxin. Hence, it cannot promote the elongation of plant and promote phototropic response. However, for diagram Y, this piece of glass is not interfering with the diffusion of auxin, so after some time it will bend towards the light. Now the correct answer would be C. So blood sugar concentration regulation, so homeostasis. Now the correct answer would be B. So as more glucagon is released, there will be less glycogen in the liver because the glycogen will be converted into glucose so that the glucose concentration in the blood can be raised. So number 27. The correct answer would be D. This is because during ultrafiltration, the protein would not be able to pass because it's too large of a particle. So it would be the highest at D. It would not be able to enter the kidney nephron. So number 28. The correct answer would be C. Because the zygote nucleus is produced by the fusion of a male sex cell and a female sex cell, producing a diploid cell. Okay, number 29. The correct answer would be C. Okay, number 30. The correct answer would be B. Number 31. The correct answer would be B. Number 32. The correct answer would be D. Now I'll explain this question for you. So a man marries a woman who has different blood group from him. They have 2 children. The children have different blood groups from each other and different blood groups from their parents. What are the genotypes of the parents' blood groups? Let's say this was the father's blood type and this was the mother's blood type. So now here are the possibilities. IAO, IAIO, IB, IO, IB, IO. So the children can be either blood group A or blood group B. Now for this case, the children will be both blood type AB. In this case, the children will be both blood type A. And now, for this case, the children can be either AB, or A. But if they were to be blood group A, it would be same as their parent. So it would not meet the conditions stated in the question. So the correct answer is D. So pure breeding black feather chickens are mated with pure breeding white feather chickens. All of the offspring have black feathers and white feathers. When two of the F1 generation chickens are crossed, what will be the ratios of offspring phenotypes? Okay, let me express the pure breeding black feather chickens as BB and the pure breeding white feather chickens as white. So the F1 generation chickens would be expressed as BW, and if these two F1 generation chickens were to have offspring together, it would be BB, BW, BW, and WW. So the correct answer would be B, because we have one black and one white and two black and whites. Okay, number 34. Over the last 30 years, some antibiotics have become less effective in treating bacterial infections. What is the reason for this? So the correct answer would be D, because due to natural selection, the bacteria have evolved. The bacteria with antibiotics resistance have been selected, and they have developed resistance to antibiotics. Okay, number 35. The correct answer would be B. Number 36. The correct answer would be A. So number 37, the correct answer would be C. Number 38, the correct answer would be D. Because it's asking us what is responsible for the increase in decomposers. Now for eutrophication, it occurs when minerals get spilled into lakes and rivers, and algae, they grow rapidly and they block the sunlight. So other aquatic plants cannot photosynthesize, so they die. And because the aquatic plants die, there is a decrease in dissolved oxygen concentration. So other aquatic mammals and animals, they die. And because there are many dead organisms and producers, there will be increase in decomposers because they have a lot to feed on. Okay, number 39. The answer would be D. Cell membrane, no. Cell wall, no. Cytoplasm, no. Number 40. The correct answer would be B.